What's up, guys? This is round 2, game 1. I kept this. I have a turn 1 Aether Vial, 2 lands. The only problem with this is really I have 3 Curse Catchers. I'd much rather have one of these be like Lord of Atlantis or Master of the Pearl Trident, but I don't think it was worth going down to 6 on. So he plays Snow-Covered Mountain, and I thought of Scred Red. It's the only modern deck that runs Snow-Covered Mountains. And I don't really know what to think of that. I don't know who's favored in this matchup, but I guess we're going to find out. Spread and sees one of his mountains, just making Scred a little bit worse, drawing some more cards. Cast Relic. I flash in my Curse Catcher. Drawing a lot of Aether Vials here. So, casting Silvergill Adept, drawing a card. That island was an excellent draw there. Got to let me play another Aether Vial. And he cantrips with Relic. Then he Pyroclasms, Wrath on the board. I just flashed in Spellskite. Can't redirect Pyroclasm, so there's no point in doing it in response to it. There's my Master of the Pearl Trident. So I got my 3 vials on 3, 2, 1. This allows me to flash in any of my creatures except for 2 of them, then my 2 Master of Waves. I drew an island. So now I'll be able to cast Master of Waves if I draw it anyways. He Screds. This is what Scred is. Scred deals damage to target creature equal to the number of snow permanents you control. He's targeting Spellskite. He has to, pretty much. Or else I'd just redirect it. That's why I really like Spellskite in this deck, main board. If I didn't have Spellskite out, he would have targeted my Master of the Pearl Trident. So it's really nice to have. And you cast Wormcoil Engine, so it's a hard card to deal with. I really need a Vapor Snag now. I drew Spellskite. So I'm going to attack with my 2 creatures with Island Walk. I really need a Vapor Snag there as my draw, but... So he attacks with Wormcoil Engine. I let it happen. And he's tapping out. Plays another one of these turds. I mean, I should have just conceded right then and there. There's no way I'm going to be able to beat these 2. No cards in hand. I needed to draw Vapor Snag and another Vapor Snag, but even then, I can't win. It's just not possible with this deck now. But I play it out. I didn't want him to think I was scared of his Wormcoils, even though I was terrified of them. And there's Koth. So futile effort on my part to block with Spellskite. And didn't draw anything, so I conceded. I mean, there comes a point where the worms are bigger than your fishies, so you just need to scoop up your tackle box and move to the next game. Alright guys, this is game 2. I kept this hand. 2 Aether Vials in the open hand's not great. 3 lands, just 1 threat. I think really the only reason why I kept it is because of Vapor Snag. I really needed it last game, so I didn't really want to mulligan and lose it. There's a Pyrite Spell Bomb. You can sack and deal 2 damage to a creature or player. Kind of makes me not want to play my Master of the Pearl Trident into that. I kind of need him to activate it before I can play my... Or I can draw Spellskite. I'm going to attack with Mutavault, get in some damage. Spreading Seas, drawing Silvergill Adept. Gonna attack with my Mutavault again. So he activates the Pyrite Spell Bomb. He's targeting Mutavault, he's gonna try to destroy it. I tap Aether Vial in response. I'm gonna flash in Master of the Pearl Trident. What this does is make my Mutavault a 3/3. I was really waiting for him to do this so I could play my Master. So my Mutavault lives. And then he screds my Master. So he got me pretty good there. He's going to kill my Master, kill my Mutavault now. Draw another Silvergill Adept. Storm Breath Dragon. At least it's not a Worm Coil Engine is what I thought. Vapor Snagged it. Pretty much time walked him there. Gonna flash in Adept. Drew a Master. That's a pretty good draw there. Then I took up my Aether Vial that was on 1 on 2. I have my creatures are 2-drops, so I'd be able to flash in both now. And then I drew another 2-drop. I mean, if I left this at 1, I don't need to, because if I draw a Curse Catcher, I can play it and keep Vapor Snag up. So there's really no reason anymore to keep it on 1. Volcanic Fallout. Wrath on the board again, dealing me 2 damage. And to himself. So I'm just going to play Mutavault and pass. He has 4 cards in hand. One is a Storm Breath Dragon. That's fine. He's going to fetch for another mountain. So if you don't know what Scred Red is, what it does is they play Boros Reckoner, and then they target their own Reckoner with Scred, and then using Boros Reckoner's ability, they target their opponent, dealing damage to their opponent. So really all they're trying to do is hit all their land drops, and then combo off with Reckoner and Scred. It's pretty cool little deck. Another Adept. So I'm going to flash in one of my Masters since I drew it. Going to attack with creatures that have Island Walk. He casts Combust, targeting Master of the Pearl Trident. So now my creatures don't have Island Walk, so now he can block and trade. But before he can do that, I flash in my other master. So my game plan now, unless he plays another Stormbreath Dragon, he casts Boil instead. So my game plan before this was to Vapor Snag at the end of his turn, his Solemn Simulacrum, and then he'd be down at 6, and then I could just win with Mutavault and Silver Yellow Dead. But he casts Boil. I know they run in their sideboard. If he would have been able to play it earlier, it might have affected me more, but I have 2 Aether Vials out and 2 threats out and Cavern of Souls, so I can still activate Mutavault, so it wasn't actually that devastating against me. And there's we did on his second main phase. Yeah, well, yeah, because I tapped out my islands, so he had to. That's correct. Because I would have just Vapor Snagged it. So he played around Vapor Snag pretty well there. I'm going to take Aether Vial up to 3 in case I draw a Merrow Reejerey. But I draw an island. So end of turn, I Vapor Snag his Stormbreath Dragon. He's tapping, untapping. He has 0 cards in hand. Don't really know what he was doing. Oh, yeah. So he wanted a oh, it's back in his hand. Yeah, he wanted a Monstrous in response, but I only have 1 card in hand. It wouldn't have done much. He probably realized that. He still should have done it, though. Just deal me a point of damage, I guess. So at this point, I felt it was pretty safe to attack with Master of the Pearl Dragon. He has to block either Gills or Mutavault, or else he just dies. If he blocks here, he dies, so he has to block one of these 2. Activate Scrying Sheets. What that does is you look at the top card of your library. If that card is Snow, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. So he did that before this guy dies. So that way, if there was a land on top, he would draw that land, and then he could draw it into some like gas. So my opponent definitely knows how to play his deck, I think. And he scoops. Alright guys, game 3. This is a great opening hand. I have a Boro and Minimo, so I can play around his Boil. I mean, that's really why these cards are in the deck, is to play around Boil and Choke. And I have a turn 1 Aether Vial, and got some Lords. So, a definite keep, especially in this matchup. I brought in Tidebinder Mage for his Stormbreath Dragons or Boros Reckoners. I mean, we haven't seen a Boros Reckoner, but I have to assume they're in his deck. I mean, that's the whole reason why you play Scred Red. I'm not going to flash in one of my Lords. I'm playing around Pyroclasm. Activate Scrying Sheets. Looks like he drew a snow-covered mountain there. Don't know why he didn't block. I figured the whole point they run Solemn Simulacrum is to draw a card with it after you fetched for the land. So he kind of took 3 damage when he didn't really have to. Unless he just wants... He probably knows I don't want to block with my Lord. But I could flash in like a Silvergill Adept, so... It's not like he could really attack anyways. So I think that was a misplay on his part. And there's Koth. I brought it in negate. Pretty much to deal with Koth or Boil. So I counter it. And he wraths the board with Pyroclasm. And draws a card. So I flash in one of my lords. Let me see here. Yeah, it's sorcery. So he's playing it right. Volcanic Fallout is the instant speed one. So it kind of tells you 5 cards in hand. One of them is not Volcanic Fallout. So that's some good information to have. He's now on a 2-turn clock. Activate Scrying Sheets. Looking good for us. Still don't want to flash anything in. Trying to play around one of his wraths. Maybe I'm playing too conservatively with not bringing in another Lord. But, I mean, he's on a 2-turn clock, so I guess it doesn't matter a whole lot. He combusts, targeting Master. Still don't want to play another Lord. Yeah. Shatterstorm. In response to that, I'm just going to flash in Lord of Atlantis. Scrying Sheets. So he's pretty much dead next turn. Cast Mind Stone. So he says in the chat, too many land. I replied, I see that, sorry. It is kind of a shame. I kind of wanted to have it be a little bit more challenging. He scooped there, he lost. It's a shame because I felt like the game could have been a little bit more competitive for us. He flooded out, and I do remember at the end we did reveal our hands, and he did in fact have 3 mountains and 1 other spell. I can't remember what that spell was, but we won anyway. So on to round 3.